Ladies and gentlemen, you ever walk into a room and without saying a word, people notice you, not because of your looks, not because of what you're wearing, but because of something else. See, real attractiveness, the kind that turns heads and earns respect, has nothing to do with your jawline, your car, or your wallet. It's about energy. It's about how you carry yourself. And today I want to show you something powerful. The 7 signs you are a highly attractive man, not in the way the world defines it, but in the way that actually matters. Because when you understand these signs, you don't chase attention while you attract it. You're calm, not cold, confidence without ego. That's the kind of presence that doesn't need to shout to be heard. When you walk into a room, people feel that calmness before you even speak. It's not arrogance, it's self-assurance. You're not trying to prove you belong, you already know you do. This kind of calm doesn't come from pretending to have it all figured out. It comes from being grounded enough to admit that you don't need to. A highly attractive man doesn't rush to react. When someone tests his patience, he doesn't explode. When life throws chaos his way, he doesn't crumble. He pauses. He breathes. He decides. That pause is powerful because it shows control. The world is full of people who act first and think later, but the calm man does the opposite. His peace is his weapon. It's what keeps him clear when others get clouded. It's what allows him to respond with intention instead of impulse. People confuse calm with weakness, but the truth is, it takes real strength to stay centered when everything around you is trying to pull you off balance. The calm man isn't detached, he's deliberate. He feels everything, but he's not ruled by his feelings. When something upsets him, he doesn't deny it, he processes it. He doesn't suppress emotion, he channels it. And that's what separates him from the rest. You can see it in his posture, his tone, his eyes. He doesn't fidget, doesn't over-explain, doesn't need to fill silence. He knows silence can say more than words ever could. He listens more than he talks because he's not afraid of what he might hear. When he does speak, people lean in, not because he's loud, but because his words carry weight. Confidence without ego means knowing your value without needing validation. It's not about thinking you're better than anyone else. It's about knowing you're enough as you are. The ego wants to prove. Confidence simply is yes. The man with ego is always comparing, always competing, always performing. The man with confidence doesn't need the spotlight. He becomes the light. He doesn't need to win every argument or impress every person. His focus is on being genuine, not being admired. When you have that kind of calm confidence, you move differently. You don't chase opportunities, you attract them. People trust you because you're consistent. They feel safe around you because you're stable. They know you're not going to flip when things get hard. You create a sense of certainty in uncertain situations. That's magnetic. The calm man isn't emotionless. He just knows where to place his energy. He doesn't waste it on gossip, drama, or proving a point that doesn't matter. He chooses his battles carefully, and when he fights with purpose. That's why his presence has weight, because it's backed by discipline and clarity. Even in conversation, you can sense his confidence. He doesn't interrupt, doesn't rush to respond, doesn't try to dominate. He gives people his full attention. And that's rare. In a world where everyone's waiting for their turn to talk, a man who actually listens stands out. He understands that confidence isn't about controlling others. It's about mastering yourself. He doesn't let pride get in the way of growth. If he's wrong, he admits it. If he doesn't know, he asks. That humility makes him even more powerful because it shows he's secure enough to learn. He doesn't need to pretend to be perfect. He just needs to keep improving. When you're calm, people come to you for guidance, for perspective, for balance. You become the grounding force in a room full of chaos. That's not something you can fake. It's built over time. Through patience, self-awareness, and the willingness to stay composed when others lose control. It's quiet confidence, the kind that speaks volumes without saying much at all. You lead yourself before you lead others. That's one of the clearest signs of a man who truly attracts respect and admiration. Leadership isn't about authority, power, or having people follow your orders. It starts long before that. It begins with how you lead your own thoughts, your habits, your emotions, and your standards. A highly attractive man doesn't wait for someone to push him or tell him what to do. He sets his own direction, holds himself accountable, and moves forward even when no one is watching. Self-leadership means taking ownership of your life. It's refusing to play the victim. It's understanding that while you can't control everything that happens, you can always control how you respond. When things go wrong, you don't point fingers. You look inward. You ask, what can I do better next time? That mindset is magnetic because it shows maturity. People naturally trust a man who takes responsibility, not excuses. Leading yourself means keeping promises to yourself. If you say you'll wake up early, you do it. If you say you'll stop complaining and start acting, you follow through. Every small commitment you keep builds inner trust. You start to believe your own word, and that belief creates confidence that others can feel. The man who can lead himself doesn't need motivation from the outside. He creates it from within. He's not waiting for the perfect moment. He makes the moment count. A man who leads himself sets standards for how he wants to live, not based on trends or what others expect, but on what aligns with his values. He knows what he stands for and refuses to bend for approval. That kind of conviction attracts people because it's rare. Most people drift. A man who leads himself has direction. Even if the path is uncertain, he walks it with purpose. That sense of purpose is what makes him stand out. This kind of leadership is quiet but powerful. It's in the way you show discipline when no one's watching. It's in the way you treat people when they can't offer you anything. It's in how you handle failure, not by hiding from it, but by learning from it. Every setback becomes a lesson, not a label. You lead yourself through adversity by staying focused, adaptable, and grounded. You don't let one bad moment define who you are. When you lead yourself, you inspire without trying to. People notice the consistency, the integrity, the calm direction in your actions. They start to trust your judgment, not because you tell them to, but because they see how you live. You become a mirror for others to see what self-respect looks like in real time. It's not about control, it's about example. True leadership always starts with example. A man who can't lead himself will always struggle to lead others. If you can't manage your impulses, your time, or your mindset, how can you expect anyone to trust your direction? But when you master self-leadership, others naturally gravitate toward your energy. They feel that you know where you're going, even if you don't have all the answers. It's not about perfection, it's about progress and consistency. Self-leadership also means being emotionally intelligent. You don't let anger dictate your choices or fear hold you back. You understand your emotions, you manage them, and you use them as tools instead of letting them use you. You know when to speak up and when to stay silent. You know when to push forward and when to pause. You don't let temporary feelings destroy permanent goals. That balance is what makes people trust your stability. You also lead yourself by being disciplined enough to say no. No to distractions, no to negativity, no to shortcuts that compromise your integrity. You don't chase quick wins, you focus on long-term growth. Discipline becomes your quiet confidence. It's not glamorous, but it's powerful. Because while others are inconsistent, you're steady, you're reliable. You're someone people can count on. Leading yourself means taking care of your mind, your body, and your purpose. You prioritize your growth because you understand that you can't pour into others from an empty cup. You set goals not to impress, but to evolve. You stay humble enough to keep learning, yet strong enough to stand firm in your direction. That's what it means to lead yourself before leading others. It's not about control over people, it's about mastery over self. You speak less, but mean more. That's a hallmark of a highly attractive man. In a world full of noise, people are drawn to someone whose words carry weight. It's not about filling silence or proving intelligence by talking endlessly. It's about knowing that every word you speak has power and using that power deliberately. When you speak less, people lean in. When you choose your words carefully, each one resonates. A man who speaks less understands the value of listening. He knows that listening is not a passive act, it's an active strategy to understand, connect, and influence. He listens not just to respond, but to comprehend. By listening more than he talks, he gathers information, reads emotions, and senses intentions. That awareness allows him to respond with precision, clarity, and authority. People feel heard in his presence, and that draws them in. Speaking less also reflects self-confidence. It shows that you don't need to fill the room with your voice to assert your presence. You are comfortable with silence. You are secure enough to let others speak, knowing your voice will be valued when you choose to use it. This kind of restraint communicates maturity and control. It tells the world that your attention is deliberate, your words are intentional, and your thoughts are worth hearing. Every word a man who speaks less uses carries impact because it is chosen with purpose. He avoids unnecessary chatter, small talk, and gossip. His communication is precise, often concise, and always meaningful. People quickly learn to respect his time and presence because they know that when he speaks, it matters. This is magnetic. People are naturally attracted to the substance behind every sentence. There is also an element of mystery in speaking less. When you don't overshare, you create space for curiosity. People want to know more about you because you are not giving everything away. That subtle intrigue increases your attractiveness, not because you are secretive for manipulation, but because you understand the power of pacing your presence and your words. Mystery, in this sense, is not deception, it's self-mastery. Choosing words carefully means avoiding impulsive speech. A highly attractive man doesn't react verbally out of anger, fear, or ego. He pauses. He thinks. He considers the impact of what he is about to say. That pause communicates wisdom and self-control. People notice when someone refrains from reacting emotionally, and they trust that his words are sincere rather than performative. Authenticity in communication becomes one of his strongest traits. Speaking less also strengthens persuasion. When every word counts, persuasion becomes natural. People are more likely to be influenced when they feel that your words are thoughtful rather than forced. You create an environment where dialogue feels intentional. Your voice becomes a tool for clarity, direction, and inspiration. You don't speak to fill silence, you speak to create meaning. Moreover, speaking less allows you to observe more. Observation is a form of intelligence. You notice body language, tone, unspoken cues, and emotional undercurrents that others miss because they are busy talking. This gives you a distinct advantage socially and professionally. You can respond appropriately, guide conversations subtly, and understand people's needs without them having to articulate everything. That awareness makes your presence deeply influential. Silence becomes your ally. The pauses between words are as important as the words themselves. Silence draws attention, emphasizes points, and signals that you are in control of the conversation. People respect and even fear the quiet because they recognize the confidence it takes to remain composed while others fill the air with noise. That composure is attractive because it signals that you are grounded, thoughtful, and intentional. A man who speaks less but means more does not seek validation through verbosity. He does not explain himself unnecessarily. He doesn't feel the need to justify his actions or opinions endlessly. This independence of thought and expression sets him apart. Others sense that he operates on principles, not on the approval of the crowd. It's a subtle yet undeniable magnetism that draws people to his presence naturally. Finally, When you speak less, your words carry authority. Authority is not demanded, it is earned. Each carefully chosen phrase demonstrates intelligence, experience, and discernment. People listen not because they have to, but because they want to. Your voice becomes a tool of influence, your silence a measure of your control, and the combination of both defines the unmistakable aura of a highly attractive man. You respect everyone, but you bow to no one. That's a mark of a highly attractive man. It's a principle that defines how he navigates relationships, social interactions, and life itself. Respect is not selective. It's not given only to those who can offer something in return. A man who truly attracts attention and admiration treats everyone with a baseline of dignity, whether they are a CEO, a janitor, or a stranger on the street. This consistent respect is magnetic because it signals integrity, empathy, and self-assurance. At the same time, he does not compromise his core values or self-worth for approval. Respecting others does not mean subservience. Bowing to no one means standing firm in your beliefs, decisions, and boundaries. You don't allow manipulation, pressure, or intimidation to dictate your choices. People notice that balance. They sense that you are kind without being weak, accommodating without being submissive, and assertive without being aggressive. That balance is rare, and that rarity is attractive. Respecting everyone starts with humility. The highly attractive man understands that no one is beneath him and no one is above him. Everyone has a story, a struggle, and a perspective. When he interacts with people, he acknowledges their humanity without judgment. He listens without interrupting, considers opinions without immediate dismissal, and engages with presence rather than pretense. This openness creates connection, trust, and rapport naturally. Bow to no one doesn't mean you're arrogant. It means you are self-reliant, confident, and principled. You don't bend to social pressure or the whims of those trying to assert dominance. You are not swayed by titles, wealth, or status. Instead, your respect is earned, mutual, and grounded in recognition of integrity and authenticity. People are drawn to that because they subconsciously recognize strength combined with fairness. This duality, respect for all, submission to none, shapes your interactions. In business, you deal with colleagues and competitors alike with courtesy, yet you never compromise your vision or settle for less than your standards. In social situations, you engage fully without being a pushover. You assert yourself when needed, speak your truth calmly, and avoid unnecessary conflict because your authority comes from composure, not confrontation. When others see a man who respects everyone but bows to no one, they recognize a rare kind of power. It's soft power, the kind that doesn't shout but commands attention through presence, integrity, and unwavering principles. People naturally gravitate toward him because they feel safe around someone who is fair, consistent, and unshakable. His energy inspires trust and admiration without effort. A highly attractive man also understands that respecting everyone includes respecting himself. He does not allow disrespect to pass unnoticed. He sets boundaries with clarity and confidence. He communicates his limits without hostility, but with firmness. This teaches others how to treat him and reinforces his internal sense of dignity. When you respect yourself, it becomes impossible for others to diminish your value, and that sense of invulnerability is deeply appealing. Respecting all also requires emotional intelligence. You navigate egos, moods, and tensions with awareness. You understand when to step back, when to step up, and when to simply observe. You never let minor provocations derail your composure. Your respect is strategic and sincere, not performative. This emotional mastery amplifies your attractiveness because people feel understood and valued in your presence. Bow to no one also means you are not controlled by fear, insecurity, or the desire for approval. You make decisions based on principle, vision, and truth, not on what others might think. You lead your life with authenticity, even if it means standing alone at times. That courage is magnetic because it signals independence and self-possession. The combination of universal respect and unwavering Respect shapes the way others perceive you. You are approachable, yet formidable. You are empathetic, yet unyielding. You inspire loyalty and admiration because people know your respect is real and your integrity is absolute. This principle extends to every area of life: relationships, career, social interactions, and personal growth. By maintaining this balance, you cultivate a presence that is impossible to ignore. People sense that your respect is not transactional and your power is not imposed. They feel drawn to your consistency, your fairness, and your unwavering self-worth, which makes you not just attractive, but magnetic in the truest sense.